But as we turn our attention to one of the saddest stories from over the weekend in New York City, that area stunned by the ambush killings of 2 police officers as they sat together in their patrol car. This only heightening tensions between police leadership and Mayor Bill de Blasio. The police leaders say they've accused de Blasio of siding with protesters after the grand juries cleared police in the killings in New York and in Ferguson, Missouri. Now, New York's patrolman union says de Blasio has blood on his hands. Former Mayor Rudy Giuliani says finger pointing, this isn't the time. He says that's not what the city needs right now. New York City police officers have already been ordered to walk together in pairs on their beats this week following the executions of officers Rafael Ramos and Wenjian Liu. Now, President Obama, away on a vacation in Hawaii, placed a phone call to the New York police commissioner to offer his condolences for the 2 deceased officers. We're also starting to learn more about the killer himself, the one in New York City who ambushed those 2 police officers, opening fire at very close range, shooting through the passenger side window and shooting 2 officers in the head. 28-year-old Ishmael Brimsley posted hateful comments about the police officers and about the police in general on his Instagram page, linked to the cases in Ferguson and New York. He was part of the protests. In his words, he vowed to put wings on pigs. Now, police also have 5 different videos of the killer, but none of those videos actually show the crime itself, but they might be able to offer some insight. Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce says in these videos, the suspect interacts with 2 other bystanders from the area we're seeing here on tape just prior to the murder took place. In the video, Brimsley asked 2 men for 3 things. He asked them first, are they affiliated with a gang? Second, he asked them to follow them on Instagram. And then he says, watch this, watch what I'm going to do. Then Brimsley, as witnesses say, he walked past the police car, circles around and pulls the trigger from the passenger side, striking both of them in the head. 1 officer died on the spot, the second in the hospital of his injuries. Now, while Brimsley is from a Muslim family, investigators at this point do not believe Brimsley had any known gang or terrorist affiliations. Police say Brimsley died later that afternoon of self-inflicted gunshot wounds in a subway station.
The United Nations Children's Agency is reporting an extremely dangerous situation in Ukraine this week. The group claims that over 1.7 million children are suffering due to the harsh winter conflict in the area. Over 147 schools are closed due to violence in the Donetsk region, leaving 50,000 children without a needed education system. Over 1 million people have been forced from their homes, lacking water and proper sanitation. UNICEF is working to help with humanitarian needs by raising $9.4 million in funding. According to the agency, 44 children alone have been killed due to the fighting in Ukraine. Freedom for 4 Afghan Guantanamo Bay prisoners who were released this week. The men were flown back to Afghanistan after a review of their cases found that they were not a threat to the U.S. President Obama has been working towards shutting down the prison facility, as just this month 10 inmates have been released. It is reported that due to their countries of origin being deemed unsafe or unstable, half of the prisoners remaining that were cleared of charges have not been allowed to go home. Guantanamo Bay still holds 132 prisoners, which 64 have already been approved for transfer. A new program in England may lead to the cure of cancer and other rare genetic diseases. Genetic code testing will be done with over 25,000 cancer patients to compare their healthy tissue to that of their tumor. DNA analysts hope to find the missing link. Mutation differences between the DNA will hopefully allow future targeting medicine to be developed. Genetic research done in the past has helped with the creation of drugs to treat cancer, along with the finding of at least 10 different types of breast cancer. A medical for the National Health Service Group in England says that genomic medicine will be on the same scale of the smallpox vaccine and IVF. The project's leader calls this a new era of genetics based on medicine.
2 grieving families mourn the loss of their husbands and fathers. In a gracious gesture, the New York Yankees and their charitable organization stepping up to the plate, the Silver Shield Foundation reaches out to the police department and offers to pay for the education of the Ramos family children. Officer Ramos leaves behind 2 children, one of them a 13-year-old son, Jaden. Jaden left an emotional note to his dad on his Facebook page, saying, "Today I had to say bye to my father. He was there for me every day of my life, He was the best father I could ask for. It's horrible that someone gets shot dead just for being a police officer. Everyone says they hate cops, but they are the people that they call for help. I will always love you, and I will never forget you. Rest in peace, Dad." A 32-year-old Wenjin Liu was the other officer killed while out on patrol together with Ramos. Liu was actually just married 2 months ago. He and his young bride did not have any children. New York, not the only city mourning the loss of a police officer. Also in Tarpon Springs, Florida. We told you just earlier this hour, just outside of Tampa. Reports indicate 17-year police veteran Charles Condek was actually following up on a noise complaint. It seemed like an ordinary visit while he was working the midnight shift, one he'd been working for several years. He actually himself spent 5 years working in New York City as a police officer before relocating south to Florida. But when he showed up on the scene of the complaint early Sunday morning, detectives say Marco Parilla gunned him down and then took off in a car, actually running over the wounded officer lying there on the ground. He's now facing first-degree murder charges after trying to flee the scene. Condek later died of his injuries in the hospital. The police killings in New York and Florida happened within just hours of each other. Just terrible news. Imagine the heartache of those families about to all experience their first Christmas and holiday season without a father.